On Eagle Lake, the water was black, the shore remote, and 4 men had left an oversized fire blazing behind them as a beacon. They later said that when they remembered reaching camp again, the flames had collapsed to coals. A dying fire turned into the case's clock for an interval no clock independently measured. The reported pursuit belonged to 1976. The examinations and beings did not enter the story as conscious memories that night, but surfaced years later under hypnosis. The 4 were identical twins Jim and Jack Weiner, and their friends Charles Charlie Foltz and Charles Chuck Rak, young Boston art students. They left Boston on August 20th, flew by pontoon aircraft with their canoes to Telos Lake, then paddled into the waterway. Their training would later give the case one of its most persuasive surfaces. Witnesses able to draw the light, beings, and examination scenes they reported. This wilderness already carried the marks of human ambition. The Allagash system naturally drains north, but 19th century lumber interests altered its waters. The Heron Lake Dam, built in 1846, raised Eagle and Churchill Lakes for moving logs. Timber facilities later served recreational paddlers, while sporting camps had operated along the waterway since the 1930s. Remote did not mean untouched. It meant history, hidden under trees and water. Open Sky dates the central excursion to Thursday, August 26th. After reaching Eagle Lake, the men built a large navigational fire at camp and launched their canoe for night fishing. The fire was meant to be unmistakable from the lake, a fixed orange point against a dark shoreline. Rak reportedly felt watched and alerted the others. Above the southeastern rim of the cove, they described a bright, motionless, soundless sphere, perhaps 200 to 300 feet overhead. Foltz flashed an SOS with a light. According to the later television account, the sphere approached, and the men paddled for shore. They then reported seeing it withdraw rapidly until it resembled a star-like point. Whatever its nature, this luminous event was the part they consciously discussed afterward. Their next remembered scene placed them near camp, without the panic they might have expected after the pursuit. They believed they had been on the lake for less than 20 minutes, yet the oversized fire had dwindled to coals. That contrast became the alleged missing interval, but there was no independent clock establishing how long they had been away. They remained in the wilderness for another 10 days without seeing the light again, and for years mainly told the story as a UFO sighting. Then the story changed shape. Years later, nightmares troubled Jim and Jack, and Jim contacted UFO investigator Raymond Fowler. Separate hypnosis sessions elicited accounts of stripping, skin scraping, bodily fluid collection, and examinations by large-eyed beings with long limbs. The men produced drawings that gave these scenes a visual form. Fowler reportedly told them not to exchange hypnotic material until the sessions were finished, an effort to limit direct crosstalk while their accounts were being collected. Fowler's inquiry reportedly lasted 14 months, included 15 hypnosis sessions, and filled more than 700 pages in 10 volumes. A condensed book followed in 1993, and a preview led the 300th issue of the MUFON UFO Journal. Television coverage added emotional testimonies, hypnosis excerpts, witness artwork, reported polygraph results, and opposing interpretations from psychologist William Cohn and psychiatrist John Mack. A private light sighting had become an unusually elaborate public case file. But volume is not independent verification. The selected record identifies no formal government investigation and no public radar or photographic evidence. It does not supply complete polygraph reports showing the examiner, questions, scoring, and individual results. Nor does it establish a clear chain of custody or recoverable pathology findings for the reported tibial lump. Even the fire, the central clock in the narrative, was never a controlled measurement. Documentation can preserve a claim without proving its interpretation. Memory research makes the distinction sharper. Psychological literature describes hypnosis, suggestion, sleep-related experiences, cultural expectations, and source monitoring errors as routes by which vivid memories can be reconstructed and sincerely endorsed. Forensic psychologist Stephen Mostyn has emphasized that prompted children and adults can construct reasoned answers even to bizarre or meaningless questions. That does not establish what happened at Eagle Lake. It does explain why detailed, internally coherent answers cannot confirm the premise built into an interview. One simulated hypnosis experiment reported by Psychology Today found that 91% of UFO-primed participants described alien interaction after imagining lights and missing time. The result illustrates suggestibility. It does not specifically disprove Allagash. The same source reports that people can display trauma-level physiological reactions to sincerely held abduction narratives. Emotion may demonstrate that an experience is meaningful and deeply believed. As Richard McNally warned, it does not establish that the interpretation is true. Then the agreement fractured. Rak later called the abduction narrative a fabrication for financial gain, while continuing to affirm that anomalous lights had appeared. Jim and Jack Weiner and Foltz maintained the abduction interpretation. 4 accounts became 3 accounts and 1 accusation. The division matters because it separates 2 claims often fused in retellings: a reported shared light sighting in 1976 and a detailed medical abduction narrative recovered years afterward. Allagash also belongs to a larger chronology. The 1961 Betty and Barney Hill case had already helped establish the cultural pattern of missing time, hypnosis, non-human beings, and intrusive examinations. The alleged 1968 Buff Ledge case was likewise presented as a multi-witness lakeside abduction reconstructed through separated hypnotic recall. In the 1975 Travis Walton case, several people reportedly witnessed the initiating light encounter, but Walton alone claimed the extended experience. Allagash eventually presented all 4 campers as abductees. These parallels provide context, not mutual proof. After the drawings, the hundreds of pages, the television treatment, and the recantation, a narrower point survives in the public record. All 4 men were still represented as agreeing that they saw anomalous lights over Eagle Lake. That is not proof of an alien craft, and it does not rescue the disputed hypnosis narrative. It is simply the residue left when testimony, memory, and interpretation come apart. The strange light on the water, and a case whose most famous details arrived long after the fire went dark. If you liked what you watched, please like and subscribe. We post interesting and crazy stories from throughout history every Wednesday and Saturday. Yesterday's craziness, because yesterday was crazy too.